my friend.
Hello, how are you?
Good. What have you been up to? How's your day looking?
It's been great. How are you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good. I've been really busy today. Did some work a little bit and saw my mom and hung out with people. How about you?
It's been a pretty busy day. It's been a pretty busy week, but God is good and things are good. So yeah.
Awesome. So, would you like to tell us a little bit who you are and what you do?
Yeah. My name is Stevie. I am from the great state of Texas. I came from a real small town and where everybody knows everybody. And I just grew up in a really healthy family and been a Christian my whole life and love the Lord with all my heart. My whole family loves the Lord and we follow the Lord. And yeah, the reason why I was invited on this podcast was Jeremy had noticed that I had hearing loss in both my ears for a disability. So yeah, I wear hearing aids in both ears and I've worn them my whole life. And yeah.
So, when you were you can you share a little bit about like when you went to school and like growing up with hearing aids and like were there like hard times? Were there like kids like would make fun of you, or was there like any of that when you were growing up?
Yes. I grew up in a small town where we had a private school and then a public school. I started off in a private school, or actually a public school. It wasn't till I want to say second grade I transferred into a private school. And the private school are filled with, children who I guess are not wealthy, but are very middle class and, make a little bit more money. I came from parents who did a lot for their children and wanted the best education for their children. And um, we didn't have a whole lot of money growing up. So yeah, as I you know, grew up in this private school, I wore hearing aids, and a lot of kids would ask, what's the things in your ears, and I would tell them that. And um, my early years were they were a bit of a struggle. I'm not gonna lie. Yes, I was picked on. Yes, I was made fun of for my hearing loss and was called all kinds of mean things. And it took a lot of my, insecurities at such a young age and felt like I couldn't do the things that I could do and just was I've always felt like I was a tomboy. I would dress like a tomboy and just do all these crazy things, as a young kid, just because of the atmosphere that I was around. I was around people who were not happy. And, these were Christian kids, they were there and we just did that. So yeah. But when I transitioned into high school, I went and transitioned to um, a public school around eighth grade and graduated from the public school. And things got a little bit easier for me, except for the education part, because the education from the private school and the public school were completely different. But I graduated from high school, graduated with some scholarships, and I, went on to college, and then yeah.
That's so awesome. When you were in school, were you in and I'm just curious because I know a lot of times with people have hearing loss or anything like that, sometimes they would put them in like in special ed. Were you in special ed or were you in regular classes when you went to school?
So when I was a kid, my speech was incorrect. So they early throughout my years, they would send me into a speech therapist, and we would be practicing like saying the letters correctly, saying the phrases correctly. I did have special ed as a kid, and my parents made sure I had the best education due to my hearing loss. Um, and the thing that I have to give my parents so much credit is that they always told me I was smart. They always told me that, I'm intelligent. And when you plant these seeds into your children, like it is important that you plant the right seeds to people, the right words, because words are powerful. And I was so grateful that my parents provided me the best education at such a young age, and as well as just the best learning experience growing up. Was it easy being taken out of classes during recess period? No, but that's okay because all of those hard things or the things you didn't want to do produce fruit, especially starting out as a young age. You have to suffer a little bit in order to produce the right fruit. So, yes.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, like for me too, like I think when you wear hearing aids, like for me, I remember I before I had them, like I would have stopped talking. Like I would just keep saying things and I think too it's like for the speech thing, it took me a long time because there's one letter I cannot when I say a word, there's a letter that doesn't come like what you like your name for example, your name, that first letter, that's the letter I always have trouble pronouncing in anything. And it was like, oh, this is crazy, you know? But yeah, it's really cool that, your parents were supportive. They were there to help you. They were there to get you the what you needed. That's so cool because that's cool to encourage people that are watching this because that people would know like, oh wait, I just heard someone else's story about this, and how it's all like cool. Um, so yeah, so going through all school, then you said you went to college. So did you go to college for like for a degree, or would you just going to college to do more school?
So when I went to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do or to be. I grew up in a family that wanted their children to go to college. Um, so I knew in my heart was to get into Texas A&M University. That was just the family college that my whole family went to, and it was something that I've always desired to go to. I grew up with a whole family full of Aggies, and that was just the environment that I was raised in. So God had laid that desire in my heart so badly to get into A&M. Um, but right after I graduated high school, my mom, and thank the Lord, she had me wait a year and a half to save money. Um, and she sent me to a community college for a year and a half where it actually helped lay the foundation, and it actually was considerably one of the tougher colleges to get or to basically help build you into getting into these larger universities. I hope I said that correctly. Um, so essentially, now that I look back on it, it was setting the firm foundation in me, what it took to study, what it took to learn hard, and work hard in math classes and writing a paper and things like that. This college was very like foundational for me. Um, and at that time, I didn't live for Christ. I was in the world, was broken, was trying to be the alter ego of Stevie, somebody that was just not very Christ-centered, didn't know who she was through the Lord. And I was very broken at that time. And as I transitioned to moving into College Station, I went to Blend for a year and remember stressing myself out to the point. I would get the worst back spasm because my desire was to get into A&M. I would spend endless nights stressing out and crying, thinking that I'll never make it in. And I remember, applying and did my best and wrote a really amazing paper. It wasn't until one morning I looked into the system to check to see if they have reviewed my paper. And this was God. This was God. I felt led to go to the school and say, hey, y'all haven't reviewed my application. I've never heard back, and it says it's not been submitted or reviewed or anything. So the advisor went and talked to the dean, and the dean said that he just got done reviewing everybody's paperwork. So I was like, oh man, my stomach was in knots. And it wasn't until the next day I received my acceptance letter to Texas A&M. So I was over the moon and joyed about it. A&M was such an amazing school. I wish I had really branched out more and got to make more friends there. It's been such a great community, vibrant people, and it's just such a fun school. So, um, and yeah. Oh, so I did get a degree. I did go to school to get a degree. Um, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's an awesome story. Like how you just kept believing and believing. Um, it's crazy how you said Tecton AM or Tecton AM, whatever. Yeah, that's cool because I feel like I hear that name a lot, Like it's like what the heck? And we were just watching them on TV because their softball team was in that tournament or whatever. But that's cool. Really happy that you got to just kept believing and kept going after it and just got into
Well,
something
if it's
that
a big desire of your heart
mm,
that you want, I feel like the Lord is going to give it to you.
oh yeah, amen.
It has to be something that He placed in your heart, and that it's yours.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. So, so after college, what are you doing now? Like what's been
so
happening?
that's the interesting thing about college. When I went to A&M, I studied their architecture program, but at the time I wanted to be a graphic designer. Um, and to get into the specific area, you had to take physics and calculus, which I do not like math or science. It's just not my thing. And it seemed like it was almost impossible for me to get into this one degree program that I wanted to get into. But I think the Lord strategically placed me into this program that I graduated from, to where I got to study all different areas of the architecture as well as minor something in the architecture program, which is graphic design, or minor something outside of the architecture. It could be business, it can be communications, it could be anything. So I did graphic design or new media art and then communications. Um, During my midst of college, COVID hit. So everything was from home. And I decided to do my internship here in Texas to save money. So when I went to do my internship, I was initially hired as a graphic designer, but when I was doing my interview, the owner noticed that I liked interior designers. I did an interior design um, portfolio from one of my past projects, and he says, "Do you like interior design?" And I said, "Yes, I absolutely love it." He goes, "Are you interested in possibly giving it a try?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" So that was an open door for me to start doing interior design, and I felt like I was always so drawn towards this path, even at as such a young age. When I was a kid, I had Barbie dream house and would design curtains and things like that. And then I would draw a tree house and go, "Here, Dad, build it," but he never built it for me. So it's so fascinating how I look back all those years and God was just highlighting to me like architecture, interior design, architecture. And I had just such a passion for it at such a young age. Um, After I graduated from A&M, I decided to really start pursuing interior design. And it was actually the Lord that told me, I want you to pursue interior design. Long story short, I got demoted at a job and I was really heartbroken about it. And that whole night, I was like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And I was actually on this couch when it happened, not in this space, but on this couch when it happened. And I just was crying about it. And God just kept showing me interior design. Like He was showing all the past posts and reels that I would watch and things like that. So He was just really highlighting that to me. And I was like, I'm going to do it. So the first thing I said to my dad was, I'm going to do interior design. I don't know how I'm going to make my connections. And my dad looks at me like, are you crazy? Um, so long story short, I made my connections. God made it happen for me. I started off working at a luxury interior design firm. Did not work out, unfortunately. And then I worked for a small business for about a little over a year or two. And after that, I am just now starting my own business as an interior designer.
That is so awesome. So happy and proud of you, proud of what you've been accomplished. And I know I feel like a lot of times I feel like we get turned down like so many times, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's like the big door opens, and you're just like, yeah, it's like yeah, you know. And
Finally, it's my time.
yeah, I know it's like, the timing is what we don't want, but sometimes it's good to wait for the right time because when the right time comes, that's where everything becomes beautiful and just looks
Yeah,
the way you want it in the place of having faith and the Lord helping you through all this. Because I feel like that's what we need to be able to get to what we wanted to do in life. You know, so
right.
that
And
is so awesome. To
it's just having to be patient in the process and just
hate that word.
trust.
Me and the patient don't get along. No, that's so cool. That's awesome that you really are doing that. So some of the stuff that have you done like some designing stuff now? Like have you done anything? Like what kind of like designs or stuff have you done?
I have designed or previously, right now, I don't have any design clients just because I'm just getting started, but I have designed a med spa around the area that I live. I have designed a coffee shop. I have designed several homes. I have done a whole home of renovations. I have helped um, design a law office. I've done it all. So, um, my goal is to work with builders. I love to do new builds. And I just like making a house feel like a home. We live in a generation where, you know, I like a house to feel very homey, especially around the area that I live in Texas. I've seen so many copy and paste homes, and I'm like, let's just bring back the rustic feel, the country feel, like the homestead feel. That's just what I'm kind of drawn to, and that's just kind of what I grew up in. That's just my taste, but it doesn't have to be everybody else's taste. But I want to give people not just a house, but a home that suits their family and their lifestyle and their style and their personality. You know, their home is where the Lord dwells in. So,
If I ever want to build a home,
yes.
we'll connect. Oh man, that's so good. That's so good. I feel amazed how you want to. make people feel like they're welcome. They're in a place where they can just come home to and be like, yes, you know. Because I feel like we get that a lot, but sometimes you could be in a home, like for example, when for YouTubers, I feel like some of them they want like these fancy things, these fancy homes, but most of the time they'd be like, you know what, this doesn't feel like home. It's because it's not fits you, you know. And so that's so cool to how you have that heart that you want to make people home feel like home, you know, like you're coming to a home, you know, instead of just going to a house with 15 bedrooms and stuff like
Well,
that. So
and something that the Lord had really highlighted to me this year was that I had a servant's heart.
yeah,
And that is going to be a big factor of why I will eventually be successful, is because
yeah,
I have a desire to serve and to give to others and give them an experience that they truly want. You know,
yeah,
someone to hold them by their hand and say, "It's all going to be okay. Just breathe. It's going to be okay." You know.
yeah. That's so awesome. Wow. So have have you do you feel like doing this your small business that you're starting and all this, do you see it as a long term, like till you retire or anything like that, or do you feel like maybe there could be something else?
That's an interesting question. Since I was a kid, I've always knew I was going to be a business owner.
Okay.
And I think that was something that the Lord had placed in me. I've always saw myself having my own, I guess, store. Um, and it wasn't until a friend of mine had approached me this year and said, you know, Stevie, you're not married, you don't have kids yet. You know, those things are going to be added to you eventually, but you're young. Start the business now. Start doing it now. You know. And it was actually confirmation to what the Lord has shared with me that I needed to get my business going. Um, and so far, I have a lot of people, you know, been encouraging me, and it's been wonderful just to showcase my previous works that I've done and just seeing where the Lord leads me to. So I definitely do believe it's going to be a long-term thing. I definitely do see myself raising my family while, you know, doing it. I'm hoping that God brings me amazing men and women to help make this business, this vision happen for me so that it just will be all smooth. And I desire to be a blessing to others because that was just something that the Lord has shown me. He said, if you do not get this business going, you're not going to be a blessing to others. And I'm like, well, you know me so well. So, yes.
That is amazing, awesome, and I'll be totally preparing for you and just that God will bring you somebody in your life
He
that will
will.
help you alongside of you. And you know, like I tell people, I mean, it took me 42 years, but we're not gonna pray that doesn't happen for you. But it's like I think when you wait and just let him do all that, I think it's just gonna look beautiful. It's gonna look amazing. And yeah, I'm really stoked to see what you have in store for your business and what you do. And I just pray that you know, maybe there's bigger opportunities for you, and it would just
Thank you.
be
You
glorified and
know,
be
the reference that you said about, you know, having to wait, it's like a tree being grown.
mhm,
The thicker and the longer it takes, the more abundant the fruit is on that tree.
uh,
So, and the wait is going to be painful. It's going to be, you're feeling discouraged. You just want to throw in the towel. You want to do all these things.
yeah,
But it is worth it. It is worth it. I know it's worth it. You know, good things when it comes with God is supposed to last. You don't want the temporary things.
yeah. Is there anything that's on your like before we get to the final thing, is there anything like you want to encourage people maybe in your business, like your business or what you're doing? Um, because I feel like there might be people that are probably trying to do what you're doing. So maybe we could just encourage people that are trying to work in that field. Then after that, just the final message you want to release to the people that are watching.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yes. Um, if you feel called and you don't feel like you're qualified, it says in scripture, God does not call the qualified, He qualifies the call. You were called, He qualified you, He wants you to do it. Um, I felt like I wasn't qualified for the longest of time due to my hearing loss or the mistakes that I made in the past or just anything, whatever the enemy spitballs at you. Let me just say, don't believe any of those lies. You have what it takes. It's just start off small, start somewhere. Take a little sheet of paper, write down your to-do list and do it. Um, you know, if if I had a 13-year-old me or 6-year-old me look back at me and she sees who she is now, she would say, Stevie, you are smart, you are intelligent, you are hardworking, you are living this life that the Lord is living. And go back to your old self and see like what is it that you can, what is it that you are thankful for? Where have you been all those times um that you should be so proud of? It just takes action, but good things happen and it will happen. Um, don't listen to what people have to say about you. Be resilient. Continue to fight for what you believe in, especially when God has something that He wants to bless you with. There's always going to be people that's going to be knocking at your door left and right saying you can't do this, you can't do that. But trust and believe if God said that you can do it, you can do it. Like it's not going to be too hard where you have to bend over backwards like most people do. God is going to set it up for you in a way that you never even would have thought. Like I never would have thought I would have been doing this industry, and this is a hard industry. It is not one for the weak. But then again, being a business owner is not one for the weak, and this is just something that the Lord had desired for me to do. And I just decided to be obedient and to step up and do what it is. And my last thing is don't put God in a box. If He placed a specific desire in your heart, you best believe He's going to fulfill those desires in your heart. And for me, that was going into A&M. I got my class ring right here. I wear it every day. Um, my desire was to be my own boss, and I am slowly making it happen. I'm still making the transition over. Um, you know, Dream big with God. Dream big with God. You have to do it with God. It has to be in partnership with Him. If it's not with God and it's just you, your plans will fail. But God's plans for you will never fail. Like, sure, when you plan some things out, it's going to probably be backfired, but He's going to be like, hey, we're going to loop it around to this direction. There's going to be a pivot point to this direction, but you're going to get there. So, yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, man. So good. Thank you so much
You're
again
welcome.
for doing this awesome video with me. Yeah, thank you again.
Thank
Really,
you.
really appreciate it.
I appreciate you for inviting me out here. It was fun. Jeremy, you've been an amazing guy, very chill to talk to. Can't wait to see how the Lord uses you
Thank
and
you.
your influence. So
You too, my friend.
thank
So, you
you.
guys, J Love, Stevie, or out. Bye.
day.